My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome back to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, stepping in for Dave DuBois as he's working on the next big thing. If you've ever thought about getting into real estate investing, a lot of people think, okay, I could probably, make some money or, build some wealth and, have some rentals. But my guest tonight had an interesting, thought about it. He said, things are getting expensive. I'm going to buy something that I can, put into my 7-year-old's hands. Not today, obviously, but down the road, he's going to have something to leave behind. And it might just be something that people need to spend a little bit more time thinking about. And tonight on the show, coming from Georgia, Gildas Dossa. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
Pretty good up here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Big difference between the weather, I'm sure. Today it's cold and raining, and we're gonna get snow probably on Wednesday. How's the weather down there?
That's not for me. Here it's pretty chill right now. We're in the upper 60s. So at night it gets to upper 50s. So it feels good. Feels good.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, we just had some clients run a webinar last week and raised just shy of $1 million for their project. So, that's always a big win
That's wonderful.
for the team.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we're feeling good. Tell me, I mean, this is a big question. Everybody always wants to know. Every networking event, you're shaking hands, you say, how'd you get started in real estate? Where's the origin story here for you?
Okay. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. How do I start? How did I start? I remember back in 2014, 2015, I've started thinking about different ways to invest. Everybody was saying you have to invest in something. Um, I I researched, and then I found out that okay, real estate is pretty much a good avenue to use, because no matter what, people are always going to need a house, a roof, beyond
Yeah, somewhere to live. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I found that out back then. I was in college. I was doing computer science, but I didn't really get into it. I thought, okay, that's good. I didn't get into it until 2019, 2020, where by then I had my son. 2020, he was about 5 years old. And I was thinking, okay, what am I doing? I'm going to work, I'm coming home, going back to work, coming home. I'm not really leaving something great for my son. And that's when I thought about, hey, I was doing some research. I was thinking about real estate. Let me get back into it and see. And then I started going through different meetings, and then started reading different books, listening to different videos, especially on YouTube. And then I was like, all right, that's something that I probably need to start doing, because I realized that the word nowadays is more and more getting expensive, especially with the inflation, interest rate going up after the pandemic. I really thought that I need to make sure I can leave something to my son, something that he can pretty much use and secure his life with. And that's when everything started. 2019, 2020, I really started getting into this space. So yeah.
Any books that you would recommend that really had an impact on, for people who are looking to get started?
Well, a lot of people talk about it, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Obviously, I read that. But another one is the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, that's a big one for people
Tim
getting
Ferriss.
started.
Yes, I read that one. It didn't talk much about real estate, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you structure I can say your daily routine? How do you
Yeah, like your daily actions.
put, yes, emphasis on what's really important?
So
And that's
once you decided to get into real estate, what did you finally do? Because some people go flips, some people do wholesales. What was your flavor of choice when you decided I'm going to do something in real estate?
so I thought about the long-term approach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I want to build something that eventually 10, 20 years from now is gonna, kind of fluctuate or bring a lot of profit. So because my son he's young, so by then
Yeah,
he'll
10
pretty much
years.
have something ready to use. So that made me think about doing buy and holds. So buy
Mm-hmm.
properties, hopefully something that I can rehab and then put it into some rent.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So everybody's got the story of their first one. You're still, I guess you're in the process of refinancing that one now. You've already got it like fixed up, or are you still working on it?
Yes, the first one, my very first one, I just got about 3 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that's by now it's been the rehab has been done.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's on the market. I just posted it on the market for rent,
Mm-hmm.
literally like last week.
Yeah.
So yes, I just started. It's a small single family, 3 1 3 bed 1 bath that
Yeah,
I'm renting.
that's what you want, right? A two bed, you have people moving out constantly because you can't get a family. You get like the guy and his girlfriend and
Right,
their home office, and then they get in a fight and boom, now you need a new tenant. So the 3 bed, 1 bath is a much better thing because you can actually get two kids' rooms and the parents, and they
right.
stick around for 3 or 5 years. So
Yes, yes.
um any interesting challenges that you want to let people know about on this particular project?
Challenges.
I know you said it was like took you about a year to find this thing. Where in line of that would that challenge come from? Like how did it take a year? What were you up against?
It took a year because especially, I was putting a lot of offers out, seeing
Mm-hmm.
properties, putting out offers that were getting denied. But it was a lot about my my numbers, the way I
Mm-hmm.
was running the numbers. I was very, very conservative, and I didn't really look at the market. How is it going? What are people really paying for on their properties when they try to buy something? I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really looking at that. So always focus on my numbers, and I was putting offers like that until I guess 6 months ago, from a RIA meeting. Um, some of my mentors were like, "Hey, how about you review your strategy? How about you review your numbers? Maybe you might need to make some few changes.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that we're gonna don't think about making money, but
Mm-hmm.
there should be a way for you to review, look at the market, look at what's really going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then adjust your strategies from there. And that's what I did. I reviewed it. I was less aggressive on my offers, and that's when pretty much 2 months down the line, my offer for this property that I have was accepted.
Yeah, because sometimes, as I've trained a few people in my day on how to buy it, and sometimes um it's either a misunderstanding or a miscalculation or just like
Mhm.
an over um an overcompensated offer. Like
Right.
they're making an offer that's assuming everything's going to go, terribly. And so they're like padding it with all these overages and stuff. And it doesn't make sense because there's other
Yes.
people who are more confident who aren't adding all the overages and stuff like that to their
Yeah.
offers that are beating you out. So eventually, you got more dialed in with your mentorship, which I love to hear. And they kind of pushed you in the right direction to say, hey, you don't have to be that conservative. It's buy and hold real estate, like it's called
Yes.
buy. and hold. So,
And
over time you can pretty much, you can pretty much straighten anything out over time. Now, after this project, so let's talk about what you're working on now. Right now, you're working on renting that out, and I guess you're turning around and going back into the market looking for another buy and hold, or you're going to try something more like a flip. Like, what are you actively working on now? Now
so
that that's done.
right, that's a good question. So I'm looking at the market now. I'm trying to find something that I can pretty much flip.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to build some capital. I
Yeah.
do have some reserve, but I'm thinking about getting something, building that capital, and then using some of that capital for the next buy and hold. So that's where I want to go. I want to just focus on fix and flip and then buy and hold. So
Mm-hmm.
every time I do one or two flips, I can use some of that capital and then invest it in one or two buy and holds. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, as far as capital goes, right now you're self-financed. Then I guess this is all your own savings and stuff on this, and a hard money loan. I think you had mentioned.
So yes, I have a hard money loan that I used for the purchase, but the whole rehab was from my own money. So I used a HELOC
Okay,
on
so you pulled
my
the equity
primary.
out. Yeah.
Yes, I pulled the equity out of my primary residence, and I used that to do the rehab. So I'm waiting now, pretty much 6 months, which will be in January. I'll be able to refinance and hopefully pull as much as I can out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
yes.
with the projects, are you working on them yourself? Like, are you swinging a hammer, swinging the paintbrush around, or do you hire people to do that sort of work?
So for the actual house and property, I use contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones I use for that. But I personally I did the manual labor for the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So getting rid of any excess trees and things like
Yeah,
that, cutting
cleaning
the
it up.
grass, cleaning up. Yes, that's the one I did myself. I do not have any background on
Yeah, I
construction,
mean, we all
so
start somewhere, especially when it's your own like project house. You're like, yeah, I can probably paint, or I can probably, and people start taking on different jobs, but landscaping is
and then
usually one
yeah,
of those ones that people take to, because they're like, how hard could it be, right? And it
right,
does make a huge difference on curb appeal and things like that, especially if the grass is beat up, or the flower beds around the property are,
yes.
are messed up like that. So um when you look at, I guess the real question is like, yeah, there's money in real estate, but there's money in lots of things. What really gravitated you to particularly the buy and hold strategy?
For me, this is a we're not compared to the other strategies. This is
Hmm.
kind of personally, it's a less risky. I'm not saying it's not risky. I think it's the less risky of all the strategies in real estate. Having something that you can put out there, rent it, um, instead of thinking about, oh, let me do a flip or let me do
Yeah, and
a short-term
pays top
rental.
dollar. Yeah.
Right, right. And so I feel like, and plus, I think it gives me more. I'm looking at the equity, especially down the line, 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
If
because
I,
you're not terribly worried about the cash flow. It's probably not nothing that's going to change your life. If you have one tenant
right.
that's out of the unit, if it empty for 2 months, like it pretty much nullifies the cash flow, because you don't need the cash flow, right?
I,
You said
right.
you have a job
I
that
have
you
a,
go to work. Yeah.
right. I have a job right now. I don't need the cash flow. And that's why my objective is to always buy, hold, buy, and then put those in rentals. And then maybe 20 years from now, when I retire,
Hmm.
hopefully maybe my son can take over all those assets.
Very cool. So tell me, like over the next, obviously, to scale up your business, you're gonna have to like start investigating, other people's money and stuff like that. After a few, I think you can probably manage three or four more without really having to involve anyone else. I mean, it really depends on how fast you want to go.
Right.
But over the next 3 years, where do you see your business going?
Over the next 3 years, when I look at it, hopefully my goal is to have around
Mm-hmm.
eight properties. When I say property, I can say specifically 8 doors, and hopefully they're sustainable. And then I'm not losing money. Hopefully, I'm not looking for cash flow really, but it still needs to cover uh, my mortgage, still needs to
Mm-hmm.
cover all the other expenses. Yes, around eight. And the way I'm thinking is probably going to get into some of the small multifamily if I want to get there in 3 years. Because buying single ones, I mean, it has its plus and minus.
Mm-hmm.
But I think small multifamily just gradually growing. So start with small multifamily, and hopefully in 3 years I'll be there. And then from that point, go to the larger multifamily. So
Yeah, there's like a good amount of like duplexes and triplexes down there.
yes,
Lots of property in especially like the Atlanta area. People are investing like crazy in there. So
yes.
there must be something to it. Now, when you're looking at your like buy and hold futures, um, what's stopping you from going like right to multifamily, or is your next deal going to be a duplex, triplex? Are you going to do a couple more singles to just kind of get your feet in there, or what were you thinking?
Um, I could say that I'm undecided right now. I see a lot of, I can say a lot. I see potential single family properties that I could purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, looking at the 3 year goal, I'm like, the next one should be at least a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
Should be at least a duplex. But obviously, I said earlier that I want to do fix and flip. Hopefully, I can get some uh, capital out of that. So right after that flip, yes, trying to do a duplex next, and
Yeah,
slowly,
there's lots of property out there, lots of property
yes,
to buy and hold, or buy and flip, or even for guys starting out, if capital is really what you're interested in. um Same advice I'd give to any of my students back in the day. If capital, like money in the bank, is what you want, then you should probably start investigating doing like assignments, or like selling off a sub two contracts and stuff like that, because there is inherent risk in flip. That's just my advice. I mean,
yes,
take it or leave it. But if cash is what you need to put into more buy and holds, um, finding another contract and moving it to another investor would be, it's not going to be the same money as say doing a flip, but it'll be about as fast and with way less
right,
risk. So if capital, like if your focus is buy and hold and you really want to do capital, then it might be that you should, I don't know, take a look at doing assignments.
take
It's
a
kind of
look at
like
that.
flipping contracts, right? So
Mhm.
you don't have to take on all the risk, but
And I
um,
am I'm looking at sub two options, seller financing options. I'm looking at those, but I guess learning about the process. How does it really work? That's something I'm doing right now. So yeah, those are options that I can use definitely.
yeah. So now that I always like to ask this question to guys and girls who are just getting like kind of getting in the pool, just getting started. What's one myth that you've found that you thought going in was like this and it turned out to be more like that? Something you didn't maybe think it was, what's the biggest myth you've encountered so far about real estate
Mm,
investing?
biggest myth. That's a good question. I think we always we always do all the numbers, we study, and we're like, okay, if you know how the process goes, everything will work. It's It doesn't work like that. It's good to have the basic.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, but until you actually do it, I mean, the experience is totally different.
Yeah,
It's totally different.
simulation versus real world execution. Like
Right,
when you're at the
right.
lawyer's office signing paperwork and you're like, oh, I just bought a house. Not
Yes,
that you haven't bought a house, but it's like, oh, I just bought an income property, and it's a whole different,
yes.
or you're signing the hard money documents and you're
That.
reading the mortgage terms and they're
Mhm,
like, I better
mhm.
do this in a
I
hurry.
better do. Yes, I
I
better
better
do
do this in a
it.
hurry.
Yes. Hey, if I fail in this, that's
They're gonna come,
man.
they'll get their
Family.
money. They always get their money.
Yes, and also
So
knowing your.
yeah, time flies when you're having fun. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way that they can reach out and find you?
The best one is via Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Gildas Dossa 21, and then you easily find me there. No problem. Shoot me an email or a text, something.
They
It's
can
no
find
problem.
pictures of your project, stuff like that.
I haven't started posting it.
Well, you better
Um,
post them up now because people are gonna be looking for them because I just put you on like that. So
Yes, I
yeah,
just posted it. So I just
yeah, throw
posted
some
it
photos
for
up there
rent,
and
but I'll
mm-hmm.
put it on my profile definitely.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show, and until next time, guys, see you
Yeah,
on the next episode.
thank you.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.